back to this topic.
Right? We wanted to talk about mundane things. About the gapon today. So I think we should do a show, man. I think we should do a show. We should do a show whenever you're in town, or maybe through Zoom. Every so often, we talk about
Yeah.
about deep stuff.
I think God for me is that objective foundation, the one who sets certain values in us. Basically, love allows us to love. I think mao na ang Ginoo. Kay naman jay order, di ba, sa kalibutan. It's a chaotic world, but we have that innate desire and capacity to aim higher, to aspire to level up.
That's our brains. We're sense-making machines, diba? We try to make sense. We look at patterns. We look at the clouds and see the face of God. We look at the piece of bread and
There's
so
always an aim
we
to
look
level
for
up.
patterns. That's how our brains are constructed, diba? To look for meaning. But my counter position by is, I think the universe is chaos. The universe is chaos, and munang natay problema, we perceive things to be a certain way because we think that there's a certain order to things, but this is the natural order of things, chaos. I remember a scene from Tron, one of the main characters. I don't know if you remember the movie Tron. He said, "Chaos, good news." He said that. So I think if you understand nga, kita mangud mangita mangud tag order good, but chaos is the natural order of
it's like,
the
it's like
natural.
there's always something that we need to work on in all aspects, physically. Like if palabi tagkaon, mubaboy ta, so we need to keep in shape. Or if we work hard, we talked about this before, na muliki ka. And that's something meaningful. Like I always say na the harder, difficult things are the more meaningful endeavors. Like, diba, working hard, setting up a business, making it thrive. Lisod na siya tanan. To get up early, to go through that grind. As opposed to the lazy approach na maglubog lang ka, you're a bum at home, you're just eating away, you're just wasting away. So there's always an aim ba, to move up, to level up. And I think that's really our inclination. And it's also survival. Kaya I think as humans, we're really here to survive. Diba?
Survival of the fittest.
Manginabuhi, mangitag trabaho, mangitag stable income para makapakaon sa pamilya. It's always surrounding that. So then the meaning aspect, I think, comes after you have stable livelihood.
Yeah. Correct, yeah.
So it's hard to talk about deeper, meaningful things
correct, yeah.
if, let's say, di kakakaon or di kakabayad sa abang or di kakabayad sa rent or,
Correct,
or
yeah.
electricity bills. So because you're fixated on that, it's harder to contemplate on other aspects.
Some kwan kita blessed kita ba nga we were able to talk about the deep stuff, man, because more or less makauna man ta karong gabi, di ba?
It's a privilege.
Privilege, di ba?
We're able to have these level higher up type discussions,
right? But like,
and that's good for progress.
Yeah.
Having discourse,
Yeah, correct.
having all these even debates, even dialogue about various topics, because it imparts other people how they're going through similar experiences. So it can maybe make an impact also,
hopefully,
towards them.
It also allows people to know nga pwede dito magsurag na di. Like, cause some people are scared to talk about stuff, like some people are scared to talk about, let's say, religion, for example. Kaya mahadlok sila or whatever, you know what I mean? But just to talk about it, there's nothing wrong with talking about it. Right?
Yeah.
Kaya mahadlok mga tao, dagan man mga hadlok ba? Pero karon, of course, with social media.
I think Tungod said we're fragile as human beings. Accidents can happen. We can get an illness. So I think that's also why people are constantly anxious and seeking answers. Okay, anything could happen ba? Di jud matag-an. Like terrorists or anything. You could get a sickness physically or basin you'll get run over by a bus.
But you can't control those things, mga bay, di ba?
Yeah, there are many aspects we can't control, but I think what we can do, play our part, do our responsibilities on things we can control.
So the person who's just naglubog lang sa balay actually has a lesser probability of maligsan or mabanggaan, di ba? So, yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pero like, I mean, example, beggars. Naman sila capacity or capability to seek a job or try
Kuha na,
to
way,
make
beggars
things
ko na ba,
better.
mental case ko na ba usually?
Pero nga diha man sila magpaluoy-luoy, mangayo.
Kuhaan ko na ba?
Pwede man sila mo opt for something better as long as they're able, they can interact, pwede man sila mo apply og trabaho. Pero nga
Kuha na siya,
they
mental,
choose
that's
choose
really
that
that's really
lazy
a mental
path.
thing. There was a study, especially kanang di ba California, daghan man kay mga homeless, di ba? Usually ko na ba, they have like psychological and mental issues ba? Kanang imong situan nga beggars, even here in the Philippines, nana sila mental.
So, but do they have a choice or ana lang jud sila?
Maybe
Because they have to be held accountable in a way.
maybe they were born with a mental illness, ano bitaw, or maybe siguro because of poverty was lang nakauna napasmo
Or
whatever.
tungod drugs siguro
Posible
naguba
sad,
ilang
of
utok.
course, posible sad nga drugs
Diba?
po na.
And they're in that loop, so di na sila kabangon.
Correct,
Guba na.
Like you said, also namin tao nga kaning
Because I think ang drugs makaguba sa utok, especially daw kung way kaon. Kay kana mang gutmon ka ni mag-drugs ka. That's when things get really messed up. Yeah.
Dili sila maka-cope ba? You mentioned earlier katong quotient sa to
Adversity
quotient. Diba? Sila adversity quotient
So
ba?
some are really more fragile. Okay, I've seen like some individuals, they go through so much shit, so much hell, but makabangon ra sila, fighter jud. Pero nay uban gamay rag tandog. Di naman kabangon. So nasa jud kinaiya sa tao. It's how a person is wired.
So kind of wired by that word wired. So di na siya.
How you're
So dili
programmed
na siya, di na wala tayo mabutan na niya kay wired man siya na.
Mao nang challenge.
I-rewire
Because di man sa ko mo tuo na fully deterministic. That could be an escape or an excuse na ani man ko. Mao na di ko ka pangitag trabaho or ani man ko. Mao na mas pobre ko ani niya. So I think that can be another topic of debate.
Free will.
Free will versus determinism. But I think, me personally, I think na a choice to do something. But there are some limits, not fully, because we're limited in a certain way.
Yeah.
But dili sad ta na wa tay mabuhat.
Yeah, man, that's a very interesting conversation. One of the best conversations about free will is always with Sam
you can
Harris,
initiate something. Like karon we agreed to meet, so that requires a certain initiative to make things happen. Yeah, but there are many na mas mo focus sa ilang excuse ba or having this negative mindset na it's because of this, so daghag blame shifting that happens.
Correct.
But I think we make the most of the cards we're given. Like na kay Braha, of course it's not the best. You're dealt bad hand, but you still try to exhaust efforts on what you can.
Some of us do, some of us don't, right?
Yeah.
Kung kita sila baraha nga bati, surrender na sila daan.
Yeah. Or like even athletes, diba? I think in terms of, it's about luck also, it's about skill. Like example, si Kobe, grabe to kakayod, diba? Sa iyahang career, pero he was also dealt a bad hand with that injury. So, but iyang gi-exhaustan. So, at least nakakuha siya 5 championships.
Yeah. One of the greatest things about Kobe is not because he's the greatest of all time. It's just nga, he wasn't that good, but he willed his
effort
greatness ba. You know what I mean? So his not being great is what makes him the greatest of all time, I feel. Because he wasn't there. He was not a Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
You mean athletically?
Athletically ba? Skills. Athletically, he was as tall as Michael Jordan.
Similar sila, but I think he had smaller hands. He couldn't jump. So some are really more fragile. I've seen like some individuals, they go through so much shit.
I can relate ko more to Kobe Bryant being the greatest because he wasn't that good. compared to the other great players, and he willed himself to be great.
Yeah, so I think murag ni overachieve siya ba?
Kana overachieve.
He was dealt this, like he had this talent, this ability, but he still exhausted everything, and he was able to surpass. So murag ni overachieve siya in that aspect.
Kuya, okay to, like last game niya.
Well, for that, murag they were all passing
Of
him
course,
the
yeah.
ball.
But what I'm saying, grabe gyud mo kay siya on the last game of
Yeah. But that was a very good ending.
Yeah, man. It was a close game too, right? Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Pero mao na I think ang pagkayod jud basically to really surpass expectations.
I don't know, man. Like nagi umang
Because I think you have that capacity.
Nagi tao nga wa gid ba murag nadyo kay I know people who are like di na gid ba murag diri isla ko to ba. Kay kapoy naman sad gud ba, like kapoy na sad mo ngita na saglain murag it's
Mana lisod daghan manggog factors like in allowing one to achieve a certain success because it requires will, it requires a certain skill. So pro kailan sa kag timing kay usay di lang wa lang jud kay swerte. Or usay you need the right connections in whatever field, in whatever industry or whatever career path. Murag naa jud other factors. So these are things that we work on.
And
we hope
also
for
we
the
don't
best.
Control, you know. Mana siya nga butang nga dita control. Let's say for example, negosyante ka niya na kay ka kwarta or dato imuhang pamilya. So you're able to try your ideas and then fail and still be able to survive. Na uban nga na brilliant ideas pero pobre man ilang pamilya. So inig try ni isang idea mapalpak patay siya. You know what I mean? So those are things that we can't control. Our you know, our family, we don't even control our names, diba? Michael was not your choice, right? I'm sure.
Yeah.
So even Jiggy is not my choice. Somebody gave this name to me. So there's so many things that we can't control.
Okay.
But we control being here.
Yeah. Pero mana daghang factors pero maningkamot lang jud ta sa unsay what cards were dealt.
Correct.
Okay, so pero dili jud guarantee. I think nasa part na destiny. Like when you become president, I think na part ana destiny sa jud. But it also required a certain charisma, a certain timing, a certain diskarte.
Luck sa siya.
Yeah, apel na luck, diskarte, connection, everything. Your skill in
Pero kanang butanga ba presidente, I think you have to be mostly born into that ba because they have political families. Ano bitaw? Lisod man kayong
uban na head start because they have certain advantages.
Muna siya nga that's the part you can't control. Kadaghanan sa mga politician karon, these are not people who came out of nowhere. You know, there were politicians before they become like
nay uban mas naanay perks or head start.
Nani hard.
Pero like figures, example like si Pacquiao, he's very diversified, well-rounded, pero believe ko mga ingana na stories kay really from rags to riches yun. Di ba? Against the odds tanan. Like pobre na maligya rag cigarettes. Underweight pagay ito siya, malnourished. Naning kamot yun until mahimo kang
pero boxing man iya good as a physical
8th division world champion. I mean, kana na career path ba? Like he was able to thrive and succeed in that boxing profession. Against the odds, he didn't have any head start ba? Because he was from poverty. And yet
maybe he got lucky, he got a good manager or something like that. I don't know.
Kana plus he also had luck, I think, with his punching power, with his unorthodox style. So apel na lagi tanan na ang timing, ang connection.
Murag stars aligning, ba?
Iyahang perseverance. Yeah, but it really amuses me. That's why I go on about this at times because I'm really fascinated
by Pacquiao
with different personalities. With Pacquiao, interesting kay how often do you see like a Filipino who came from poverty rise to become world champion, world famous. So those are amazing testaments to to show na unsa ka broad ang atong kalibutan na that's possible for someone like that to achieve a certain status where he is now. Okay.
From basketball to boxing, man.
Yeah, klase-klase.